Speaking of transfer point guards in the SEC, let's head over to Fayetteville. Fanta, is DJ Wagner poised to take a step forward this year for Coach Cal at Arkansas?
Well, I think that the question answers itself in that, yes, I don't see him taking a step backward. I think that he's only going to evolve as a player. When we look at DJ Wagner, obviously there were high expectations coming in, but Rob Dillingham and Reed Shepherd stole that show. But DJ still had a good year. I mean, for now, the shot making piece is the key, because if he's going to take a step forward, he can't shoot 29% from three. You can't be a 28, 29% shooter from downtown. But he averaged 3.5 assists per game, and he was a double-figure scorer as a freshman. And for most freshmen in college basketball, you would sit here and say that that's pretty solid.
Mm-hmm.
But can he take a step forward? Cal is giving him the keys for all intents and purposes. If not the keys, he's getting half of them, right? I mean, he's going to be a huge piece for this team to have success. So he's got to show it, but I don't think that the expectations are out of control for DJ, because he's on the same team as John L. Davis, who's still going to be the lead driver of this car, averaged over 18 points per game, has been to a Final Four, and was a basket away from being in the national championship game. DJ will take a step forward, but Nelly Davis is still, to me,
that's the biggest concern I have that's the biggest concern I have for Arkansas, right? Is that this needs to be Nelly Davis's team, and DJ Wagner needs to be the complement that does the things like, set other people up, move the ball, be a defensive presence. Like, I wish that we could just sit DJ Wagner down and let him watch every second of basketball that DeJuan Harris has played over the course of his career, and say, this is the stuff that you need to do. And if that is who he the role that he embraces being, I think he's going to have a really, really good year, and Arkansas will have a really good year. If he wants to come in, T.O., and be like DJ Wagner, the guy that was at one point the number one player in the class of 2020, was it 2024, 2023, class of 2023? Like, I think that you could be in for a season where you're kind of butting heads in that backcourt a little bit. I think DJ needs to accept that. If he can accept being a role, then I think he takes a huge step forward. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I mean, guys, let's not sugarcoat it. From February on, like, it just wasn't his. I mean, he had a couple of good games. He played well against Arkansas. What was it, March 2nd? It's about it. Like, I agree with you. He needs to settle into that role of being that ancillary piece. He could really get to the rim, but once he gets there, he finds other guys. He's just been wired a certain way, and his physical measurements indicate that he should be wired a different way. Because if he's not shooting the ball well and he's an attack the rim guy at he's listed at 6'4", that's generous. That's very generous. He's got to get in there and look to pitch out, or look for some of these guys who can finish above the rim. And so far, he's been kind of a square peg, round hole. Like, if he doesn't have it, those toys that kids play with the shapes. Like, he just square peg, tries to put it in a round hole, but instead of trying to find a different one, he just tries to jam that square peg in there. And it's like, he just did it all season long, and it never got better. Go ahead, John. You looked anxious to say something.
You might be able to try the square peg with John L. Davis on your team.
That's a good point. If he's settling it, but he's also got to understand, like, I get into that painted area. If I don't have a dunk or right there at a layup, I need to be spraying out. And imagine if that would have been more under control last year. Not to say that Kentucky wasn't super exciting last season, but that all being said, like, I think an adjustment in his thought process, that's going to help things. I also think he was. I said this when we saw him play at Peach Jam, guys. I thought he was a little overrated coming in, and I thought a lot of it had to do with name, rightfully so. But he needs to kind of adjust his mindset. And I say all that, he could go and average 18 points and shoot 38%, and I'll have to throw my tongue over my shoulder.
But the question answers itself. Like, he's poised to take a step forward.
Yeah, of course.
One might argue he's in a better situation now. I think that this.
I would argue he's in the exact same situation.
Yeah.
John L. Davis is
there's less of a national, it's not, you're not coming in and buzzer's about to go off here, but you're not coming in as like the number one player. You are now the second chance guy, right? And instead of being in the spot where it's like you're coming into the season as like DJ Wagner, you're coming into a season that's like Coach Cal, Arkansas, Nelly Davis. So like there's a little bit of pressure on, you know what I mean?
It's been alleviated.
One take. I think with the roster constructed the way it is, I'm not saying better. I think this has a chance to be one of John Calipari's tougher teams that we've seen in a while. Toughness wins games. And he's got a couple of dogs. Jonas Adu, remember, that was a nice addition. And him, Big Z, Trayvon Brazil. That in Cal's first year at Arkansas, he's got to establish toughness. His teams have been soft in some big spots in recent years. John L. Davis is not soft.
Mm-hmm.